Okay. So if everyone has any questions they want to raise towards the Q&A session at the end, please send it in the chat for everyone or privately, whatever you feel comfortable with. But we'll get started now. So hi, Mariana.
Hello.
Would you want to introduce yourself? So tell us where you're from, or what are you doing now? Kind of just a brief introduction.
Yeah, I'm from Portugal, from Porto, where I am right now. And I started by taking a bachelor's in economics. And then I realized that marketing was my thing. And I went to Barcelona to study for a master's in marketing management at ESADE. And I finished it last year in October. And I started to work in Kinfolks, a digital transformation agency, as you were explaining. I entered doing an internship, and then I did the 6 months internship, and right now my full-time position is social media and PR executive since November, so it's quite recently. And besides this, I also have other projects. As you were mentioning, I created my personal brand on social media. I started to develop that like 5 years ago. Once I was doing my bachelor's, I realized that my course was too theoretical and I needed something else, something creative. And I started to grow my Instagram account, as well YouTube channel, more recently TikTok as well. And to leverage this presence online, I created my own clothing line that was launched almost 2 years ago, and it's fully online, so it's an e-commerce business. Yeah, I think this sums up more or less my path.
Well, busy woman. Congratulations on the promotion,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank you.
So how about we first kind of discuss your brand Flair, and then we'll kind of go into your digital influencer experience and Kinfolks. So as you said, you created the brand to kind of get more hands-on experience with marketing because uni was too theoretical. And what are like the top what were your top highlights of establishing this? Like what was the journey of growing this brand over the years, and kind of your top challenges that you had to go
for
through?
the fashion business, right?
For your Flair
brand. So once I started right in the beginning of the pandemic. So that was our first challenge because everyone was getting inside. No one was thinking about buying clothes at that time, and was not the best time, but we had everything prepared to launch exactly on the week that the world closed. So that was our first challenge, and we had to think about ways of doing the campaigns without or considering the logistics of wearing masks and not being around people. And yeah, that was our first challenge, but we continued with our campaign that we previously recorded, and we explained everything. Everyone was super understanding, and it went really well. And in the beginning, we were not producing our own clothes, so we were reselling. And our second challenge, it comes when we switched to the point where we started produce our own clothing line. So last year in October, we launched our first collection. That was the Barcelona Collection, inspired by my year abroad. And basically this was the whole process, because reselling is just buying whatever you like, and it's pretty easy process to create a brand around that. But to create your own products is super hard, especially in Portugal, because we are producing it here. It's super hard to find the right people to work with, the right prices, the right materials. And that was our biggest challenge, and still is our biggest challenge, because of course we are still improving. We need bigger resources, more people working with us, and we are always trying to find better resources in that sense. So that is our biggest challenge, because we really want to keep everything in Portugal, to have fully control of the production, and to really step aside of the fast fashion industry. So that was and is our biggest challenge.
And are you still focusing just on your Portuguese audience, or because you live also now in Barcelona, would you consider kind of transmitting to also Portugal and Spain?
We are considering it, but right now, since it's still the beginning of the brand, we want to really establish in Portugal. So we're really focused the paid media, the marketing, everything in Portugal, and as well because my audience on social media is Portuguese. That's my main audience. So we are still focusing on that. We think that the brand really needs to be established to get well known, and then we'll start launching and creating influencer campaigns outside, paid media as well, to reach to other countries. And of course, Spain will be the first one.
Mm-hmm. And could you tell us kind of what's the difference between just marketing on, as in social media content, and then paid media content, and your process, your thought process of how to create it, and then sharing it online? What's your kind of strategy with that?
Yeah, so basically the organic marketing on social media, we have been focusing just on Instagram. That's our main platform. And since the beginning, we only have been doing organic. So we're starting just this month paid media. So we have been basically just creating a content calendar, putting everything related to trends, what we want to promote, creating different campaigns for the different launches of the products that we have, and as well involve influencers that can create content for us to use on our own page or as well for their accounts. And this is basically our strategy for the past 2 years. But since we want to expand a bit more, we are as well working with paid media right now, basically focusing just on Instagram as well, because it's our main platform and our target audience is just on Instagram, because YouTube is a bit older and it doesn't make a great fit for us. Mm-hmm. So in terms of paid media, we are focusing on conversions right now. So organic, it's still awareness and to grow in terms of followers, the account numbers, engagements, and then conversions, we are using paid media.
Mm-hmm. And you were talking about trends. What kind of, have you seen any change or shift in trends in terms of like fashion marketing over the past 2 years that you had this brand going?
I think it's not just fashion, is everything is changing to video, short format video, Instagram Reels, TikToks. We as well have a TikTok account, but our main focus is, as I told you, Instagram. So we have been creating some Instagram Reels as well. And I think we are still continue to shift even more from the photos, the photo sharing app that Instagram used to be. So right now the focus, at least for us, is create Instagram Reels, involve influencers creating content for us in this sense as well, because it's for fashion especially, it's easier for you to see the clothing pieces if you see them wearing it on a video instead of just a photo, and you can't really see the colors, the texture, how the clothes fit. So I think it's really a big shift, especially for this industry.
And where do you think that this will carry on in the next 5 to 10 years? More specifically, the fashion marketing trends.
I think it'll continue to be more video content, and as well, the influencer marketing world will continue to grow in terms of, because people usually trust more the influencers than just seeing a random ad. Especially, for example, with TikTok is a great example of that. If you see, especially on TikTok, I don't know if you are aware, but in terms of ads, if you see a pretty straight forced ad, you don't stop to see it. But if you see an influencer talking about a product, you will stop, you will stare, you will look and actually listen to what she's saying. So I think we'll switch even more to this kind of approach of using influencers to talk about our brand and our products in the most genuine way that is possible.
And since there is a shift of more towards influencers and trusting their reviews and comments, do you think that TikTok will become the more marketing centric app over Instagram, or do you think Instagram will still be the main one?
I think Instagram is still going to be the main one. This is a difficult one, and it's hard to predict because TikTok is growing so fast. But for example, in Portugal, it isn't. It's still younger generations. It's still not implemented here at all. So that's why we are not focusing that much on TikTok right now. But of course, short video format will be the main thing, but on Instagram, I think so.
And now kind of shifting towards your digital influencer journey. Since you have your own fashion brand and then you also do deals with other brands, how does it feel like knowing both sides of it? What's your experience of that? Do you apply any of your knowledge of being a CEO of a brand into knowing how to promote a product that you've been given by another brand? Do you understand
where I'm
going?
Yeah. For me, it's great because I can have the both sides vision that sometimes influencers don't have it, and sometimes I know that, for example, in the influencer industry, sometimes it's common for brands to take advantage of the influencer because the influencer doesn't know the industry, doesn't know the rates, doesn't know how to work with brands. Probably it's the first time, and usually brands take advantage of that if they are not working with an agency, which mostly of the Instagrammers that are starting, the influencers that are starting, micro influencers, they're working alone. So they are not aware of how the industry works. And me having this kind of the background that I have as well on working on a digital marketing agency, I have these both sides that I know how I should talk to brands, how much should I charge, and how should I handle the collaboration. And as well, on the other side, working with influencers, I also know how to treat them, how a campaign works. And I think it's just an advantage that I can have both sides and see both perspectives.
Great. And how did your digital influencer journey even begin? Like, where did it start? What caused you to become more of a public figure?
It was super natural because I was in my bachelor, as I told you, and I had my account, like personal account. I was not posting anything at all. But then I was discussing with a friend that I was following bloggers and I was finding it so cool. And I was like, let's just take some pictures. And we started to do it for fun. Every day after school, we would go shoot some outfits. Like the beginning of my account was just focused on fashion and street style and taking pictures in Porto. And I started to post a lot. And in the beginning of Instagram, not really the beginning, but like 5 years ago, it was easier to grow because there was fewer people there and there were accounts that would share your content more often, and you would kind of take more advantage of the hashtags, and to grow was easier than it is now, especially because of the algorithm. So I started to post a lot and I started to grow my account. And once I realized, oh, this is actually a thing and could be a thing, I started to invest more and to put more effort into it. And then I switched to video. And that's what my main step to becoming an influencer, because I created YouTube once I moved to Budapest to do Erasmus, and sharing that experience was really different from what people were sharing in Portugal, and that really differentiated me. And on YouTube, the relationship that I created with my followers was really closer than on Instagram. Then I was able to move that audience to Instagram as well, and that's when it started.
And how do you make a relationship with your audience closer? What's the difference between Instagram and YouTube kind of interaction with your audience?
Because on YouTube, since you are doing video, people think that they know you better, because my kind of content is vlogging, so I show my life and people get to know me as I really am. And on Instagram is the perfect feed, everyone posts the best part of their life. And on YouTube, I can be really myself 100% and just share my life, share what I'm doing, and they get to know me better. And then they go to Instagram and they interact more, especially this kind of audience that comes from YouTube.
Mm-hmm. And while sharing your kind of daily like vlogs and all that, what is the kind of main purpose of it? What's the main message you want to share with your audience in Portugal? Or does that depend on each vlog?
No, because my content, my base content was first the Budapest experience and then the Barcelona life abroad. So I really wanted to show a different reality than what people were used to in Portugal. And as well, now I'm not studying abroad, so my perspective is switching a bit for having a brand. So I'm trying to show different realities and trying to make people to search for something else that they want to do, to to think about outside of the box, even if it's create a business, going for an exchange, try to live different experiences that would benefit you. And I think it's showing this different kind of aspects that differentiate me from other influencers.
And has any of how has the change of algorithm on Instagram or TikTok affected your experience, and any other technological changes and developments that have made any shifts for your experience in general?
Yeah, for Instagram, yeah, a bit, because now it's really harder to grow, but you have to adapt. That's the main thing. And if you can't do video right now, well, you have to learn how to do it. So the main thing is adapt to the changes. And yeah, Instagram is changing, but it's still possible. It's still possible if you create reels, if you change your strategy. Of course, you can't stay the same as you started, because people are always short in their attention span. So you have to keep up with that. And as well, you are seeing that YouTube is now putting a bit on the side, but you have to adapt. And creating a personal brand is not just focusing on one platform. You have to think about the whole thing, about creating a community, and just find ways of adapting to the new changes.
Okay. And moving on now towards more of a business to business category. You said that you also work for the social media marketing and PR for Keen Folks. What's the difference in marketing for your own fashion brand in comparison to an enterprise such as Keen Folks? So what's the difference between marketing for like B2C to like customers and then business to business?
It's super different, and was really challenging in the beginning, because it's a target audience that I'm not that comfortable yet with, which is talking to CEOs, CMOs, so people that are quite far away from me. But you have to really keep it professional, and that's the main difference. Is you can be creative, but still you have that box that you have to stay inside. So, and you have to create ways of doing marketing more personalized, because to reach to this audience, you really have to create a connection for them to get to business at this dimension. So the way of doing marketing is not mass market, as in the fashion that I'm doing, to reaching to the as many people as I can. Is more, how can I reach to that specific person that I want to reach? So it's more personalized, more creating connections on LinkedIn, and especially the platforms is super different, because B2B is LinkedIn focused.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, so on your own fashion brand, you use Instagram, you have your own YouTube channel and your Instagram and TikTok account. But then Keen Folks, what apps, what social media platforms do they use to reach their audience?
Yeah, the main one for sure is LinkedIn. And then we also do Instagram to reach to more a younger audience. So to Instagram is more to recruit people to our company. So that's our target. And Twitter as well is important in the business world.
And any are there any other like different tools you use for social media? So like any editing tools or tools you use to organize the feed or content and plan it out? Is there different ones you use?
Yeah, so for my YouTube channel, I use Final Cut Pro, which is an editing app for Apple computers. And then I use a lot Canva for assets, everything about my fashion brand, even email marketing, everything I use Canva. To organize the feed, I use Preview. To edit photos, I use Lightroom, Photoshop as well a bit. I use a lot a tool called Trello. It's a tool to organize the content. So basically the content calendar, I do it there. On Kinfolks, I use Excel a lot to do that and to as well keep the KPIs, reporting and everything like that. Yeah, I think it's that. I don't think I have any relevant one. And Sprout Social as well, we use on Kinfolks. It's to schedule the content. And on my personal account, I use the Facebook Creator Studio.
Oh, okay, great. And with the social media for, sorry, I'm just trying to like see all my questions. So we talked about kind of the shift of fashion marketing online. And do you see any shifts for digital agencies and kind of B2B shift on marketing on social media? Like for the past year that you worked at Kinfolks, and then what do you think would be the future of it?
I think that is shifting even more to personal connections. Last year, we created a campaign around a nomination of an award, and was the best campaign that we created because we involved everyone from the team that was creating videos about how they felt about that nomination. And that campaign was one of the best results that we have ever had because it involved personal relationships. So they share their insights, and then the people that followed them were really interested in what they were saying. So I think this kind of marketing is the marketing that we should focus on B2B. So because people trust people, and in this kind of business, you have to really keep it personalized.
No, I remember on LinkedIn suddenly seeing everyone posting videos with the cover, and then you just knew what it was talking about. So 100% agree with that because it really made you notice it online. And what are kind of the challenges of marketing for a digital agency?
The challenges is how to reach the target audience is just the main challenge because we don't know where they are. Sometimes they don't, CEOs, CMOs, they don't spend that much time on social media. So maybe that's not the approach. And how can you reach them through messages or emails, cold messages? You have to have connections, and how do you implement that? And we have been testing a program that is working really well, that is ambassadors. So we have people talking about us and getting us connections that we can explain our business to. So that's our main challenge, but we have been thinking about ways to reach to that audience, and as well in a personalized way.
Also, I remember from Kinfolks how it's really big on AI and kind of focusing on that now. Do you think that will have AI will have any major influence on social media and marketing on these platforms, or do you think it already has been noticed there? So
it has a bit, and you can see from the fact that Facebook changed the name to Meta. It's really a big deal. I just don't know how far we are from there, but I don't think it's that far. And I think we'll be starting to see brands maybe creating digital products and selling in metaverse. I think it's for sure going to change the industry, and more influencers. As you know, probably there are influencers already that they are not real. They are like robots or virtual images. And I think we'll start to see more and more of that.
So as you mentioned, how Facebook changed to metaverse, when that happened, did Kinfolks have any change in their strategy? Has that, did they take any specific step towards that, or are they still trying to test the waters and understand it?
No, I don't think businesses are making a change right now because it's still, we're not sure about it. We're not sure about what is going to happen right now. So we have been talking a lot about it, and it's for sure a trending topic, but I don't think brands and businesses are stepping in right now.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's kind of most of my questions for today. I saw there's a question here in the box. Michael asked, what was the first step you took to get your company started?
A lot of steps. First was to define the concept of the brand. So what kind of codes, what kind of value proposition, and then the name and domain. It's really important, so you can make sure that you have it. You have to register the name, register the domain. And then I started to hire people to help me with the part that I'm not great on, that is branding, design, everything like that. It's really important for the establishment of the brand. And I started from hiring people, and the beginning of the brand is started by reselling, as I was explaining. So it's a bit different from what we have been doing right now. But basically, the first step is establishing the brand image, and then trying to find the right people to work with.
Another question we got here is, how do you feel about the heavy use of filters and editing of Instagram content used by influencers today?
Oh, this is actually another trend, because we're seeing a shift right now. People are stopped to using filters, which is great. 2 years ago, everyone was using incredible, like, colorful filters with like orange faces, and it was just awful. And now we're seeing more real feeds with photo dams of reality, which is great. And I think we're seeing a shift in that, and people will stop slowly using filters.
Mm-hmm. I've also noticed that there's this trend of more being more positive, so showing kind of what you see on social media, but then at the same time on the carousel they include the real photo of like how their natural posture looks like compared to what they just took a few seconds ago.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really great shift. Have you ever received negative backlash from people you know or the general public regarding your career as an influencer?
From the people I know, yes, in the beginning, because it's still a new career path. It's still a new industry, so people maybe they don't understand it that well. But right now, since I have proven results of what I've been doing, it's easier for people to understand what I've been doing. But of course, in the beginning, it's normal to always think that it is weird, this is not normal, what are you doing? But I think right now it's more normal than ever, so that's not an issue.
And another question, have you noticed different social media trends in Portugal compared to other parts of the world? Do you have to adapt strategies depending on the country?
Not really. It depends. Maybe some topics are trending in Portugal rather than others, but I don't need to adapt because my fashion is only in Portugal. My social media influencer career is just Portugal. So, and in terms of King Folks is US and Mexico, so we don't work for Portugal specifically. So I don't think that we have this kind of different social trends that, at least that I'm aware of.
I actually got one question. So how, like in the past, like thinking about 10 years ago, social media wasn't considered to be so important in companies. And still today, sometimes when you say, oh, I'm working for the social media team, people say like, oh, like, is that even a work? But still today on LinkedIn, you do see way more job offers for a content manager, social media manager, and all that. Do you think the industry of marketing on social media will change in the next 10 years to be even greater than it is now? Or do you think it will slowly kind of stay the way it is, and maybe there will be a hotspot in a different department within companies?
No, I think we'll for sure continue to increase in the number of at least the investment in marketing, online marketing. People, businesses are shifting from the normal media to the online marketing, to social media especially. Even, for example, in Portugal, you are seeing a lot that on television, even a lot of the people that are recruiting to be on the programs, to be actors or something like that, are people from the influencer world. So they are bringing people from the online to get them views on the television, which is just insane. And I think will continue in the future because our generation and Gen Z, they are just online and not on the regular media that we are used to see.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen TV in such a long time. I only watch it when my
Me neither.
on. So it's crazy how it has changed from like TV to now everything on the phone and on laptop. Another question is, what advice do you have for anyone interested in pursuing a career in digital marketing?
Is try to do a lot of courses. Try to educate as much as you can because this is new and it's always changing. And even if you have done a master's or a course in digital marketing, you need to be always up on the subject, be reading the news, be trying to understand the trends, what is happening, what is changing in the platforms as well. Instagram every week releases a new update. So you have to really keep up learning about it and improving. And yeah, I think that's my advice.
I'm also kind of curious because you did masters in marketing, right? How was it different than working actually in a digital marketing agency? Like, what's the difference of what they teach you at uni with the theories and how does it apply in real life?
I've been learning a lot now on the way because I think the courses are still theoretical, you know. I put a lot in practice because we had a lot of case studies, but at the same time, the things that I learned was mostly at the core of marketing. So how to establish a brand, branding. So like how to create a brand and establish the brand in the market, but not specifically like Google ads and Facebook ads, you know. That's just like small things that you learn here and there, but in practice you have to learn everything from zero once you start working.
Yeah, I feel like you learn on the job. And probably at uni it's more like the very base that you need in order to build on more, so to do more online courses and all that. Here Alvin adds, you mentioned the metaverse earlier. Since metaverse has already existed for 20 years, is it simply the size of Facebook being behind this type of platform that has businesses keeping their eyes on it now?
I don't think so because it's not just Facebook. A lot of brands are going to the metaverse. At least they were being talked before Facebook changed the name. For example, I think it was Nike that created virtual shoes, or I don't know, but some brand. I think at least in the arts world and gaming, it's already a big thing, and we're just not used to it, and we just probably heard it for the first time because of Facebook, but it was still there and it was growing and it's still growing, and I think it's just because of Facebook.
Megan asked, do you believe that Instagram has led to poorer mental health among the younger generations? If so, then what do you believe they could do to improve these issues?
Yes, for sure. And people are always complaining about this, especially parents, because younger generations are just always on the phone, always consuming this content. And even on TikTok right now, it's concerning because you can't control what they are seeing every day. And I think TikTok is doing a good job because they are limiting the ages and the type of content that they are showing to people. And as well, they are blocking a lot of the content. In terms of Instagram and Facebook, as you know, it's a hard topic. And they are trying to do something, but I don't think they are handling it, at least for the dimension that they showed right now.
And from your experience as like an influencer, have you had any issues with mental health because of any comments you've had? Like, how did you handle it?
Well, gladly no, I don't have haters, which is great. But I have a few friends that are always receiving bad comments. We were actually talking this last week because there's a friend of mine that always gets bad comments from TikTok which is a more, people are more aggressive on TikTok and they comment a lot, and she's getting a lot of hate comments, especially from older women that are just discussing the way that she cooks food, which is just, why? You don't have anything else to do. And she's just stopping to do those videos, which is not the good way to do it. We just have to ignore and try to reply to the good ones. And sometimes she goes there and she replies to a comment, a bad one, in a video, so she's giving them attention, which you shouldn't, because you're giving more attention to the haters than to the people who actually like what you do.
Yeah. Oh, it's really sad how people online feel that they are more anonymous, so they feel that they can say whatever they want. But it's really it's just sad because she does something she loves and she can't anymore because of all the negativity. With the rise, here Megan asks another one. With the rise of OnlyFans and other platforms that promote the sexualization of women, how do you feel about the use of our bodies to make profit online?
I think it really depends. It's up to you. What do you want to do with your body? So if you want to make profit out of it, I think it always has been some kind of way of doing it. Right now is online, but offline you had that way as well to do it. So I think it really depends on what you want to do with your body.
Any more questions, anyone? You can also speak up if you want to. You don't need to be on mute. Another one, on the back of Megan's questions regarding mental health, do you believe social media should remain unregulated?
No, I think it should be regulated for sure, but it's so hard to do it right now because it's so well established that it's really hard to change it. And Facebook is the owner of everything right now, so it's really hard to compete with that.
And it's been very clear multiple times that they prioritize profits over mental health of their users, so that's a bit rough. We'll still give some time for anyone else to add questions, but thank you so much for your time, and it was lovely to talk with you.
Thank you. It was really nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too. And the last question, with so many brands and influencers on the market, how do you make your brand stand out from the crowd? How do you create an original voice that would resonate with people?
For my fashion brand.
I guess for fashion brand or as an influencer online. I think this person joined in later, so he probably missed out about Flair.
Yeah, so for my fashion brand, I think besides trying to stand out in terms of the products, what I've been doing is try to stand out in terms of the campaigns that I create. I really want to create strong campaigns that stand out from the other brands that are just promoting the products, because I think a brand is so much more than that. And I'm trying to think about outside of the box and involve more people from different parts of the world with different bodies, and I'm trying to involve a community in creating the brand.
Megan asks here, has the removal of the like feature in some posts had an impact on your business? I'm guessing for Flair. It's about the, at the bottom of the post how it says liked by this person and a number of others. Has that had any impact on your, on Flair?
No, I don't think the likes are relevant. And for the influencer world, I don't think it's relevant either, because once you are working with the brand or starting to work, they always ask you for the insights, so they have everything.
Chloe asks, what actions do you take to improve your SEO? I noticed there are some other influences with your name.
I don't do anything, to be honest.
You just wait for them
I just use SEO for YouTube. So in terms of the videos, I use as much tags as possible to describe the content. But in terms of Instagram, that's not the main thing.
Mm-hmm. So you just
It's
like let them,
hashtags.
yeah, and you just let them find you organically.
Yeah, because on Instagram and TikTok, mostly is using the right captions and hashtags.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else like to write in your questions? One more, being an influencer naturally leads to influence. Is it challenging to keep your ego in check as your subscriber account and therefore your influence rises?
Yeah, I think it's always hard to believe how many people are actually there. Sometimes people come to me in the street and I'm like, how do you know me? Because it's just still hard to believe. But I think influencers are still normal people, and sometimes people forget that, but we just have our normal lives.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions, anyone?
Can I speak up? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you feel like if you base your brand on a set of core values like honesty and genuinity and like something else, do you feel like then your brand will be more successful in the future and has more potential rather than if you just don't have any core values? Sorry, I tuned in a bit late. Sorry if you already covered that.
No, don't worry.
I think that depends on what audience you want to attract. Since for me, in my fashion brand, I want to target people that are concerned about sustainability, that want to move away from the fast fashion, for example. My core values are actually established on that: transparency, showing exactly how the clothes are made, showing exactly the processes, the materials, and honesty as well in the processes and the materials that I use and the people that I involve in my team. So I want to attract people that are concerned about these issues. So of course I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to use this as my core values.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Also, to give some time for people to come up with any more questions, could you, Mariana, show maybe like the backside of your Instagram, like kind of to see the statistics and kind of the analytical features that you have that on a personal account you don't see?
Yeah, let me just open.
Okay, I will allow you to share screen later, so just hop on in whenever you're free. And if anyone else wants to add questions, just write it in the chat and then Mariana will answer along the way. There's a question here. With core values in the analog world for your fashion brand being sustainable and ethical, in the digital world, will you attempt to do the same, perhaps moving to a more decentralized blockchain-based platform?
Sorry,
the question is quite long, so you can read it here in the chat in Zoom.
I don't think I got this question.
Alvin, do you mind maybe explaining your, like, what do you mean exactly? Maybe you can just unmute yourself.
What kind of platform?
He says here, so you were saying you want sustainable materials, etc., which is an ethical choice. Oh, do you mean like what's her more ethical choice towards? in the digital world, blockchains, Bitcoin have made payments decentralized. So do you mean like what's her ethical choice in your what ethical choices do you make in more of the digital side of it all?
To be honest, I don't have knowledge in blockchain or anything right now, so
Okay.
I don't think I have any choices.
All right.
I can share the analytics. The only thing is it's just
yeah,
the overview, because the real analytics are on the phone.
okay.
But basically you can see the results from the Instagram. So this is like the reach for the past month. You are seeing my screen now?
Yeah, we can see it.
And then you have like the audience where you can see, this is Facebook, but just ignore it. The followers of Instagram, the percentage of women and men, the ages, where are they from, top cities and countries, as you can see, Portugal. And
we have a question here. What caused spike on January 3rd in your statistics over there?
Here,
yeah,
because I went to, I did this is my personal account. So because I did a trip to Paris, and people were interested in that. I can share Flair as well.
Yeah,
this is sales, I believe.
Oh, because you launched your new line just around that time, no?
Yeah. And then the audience is women, as you can see, the cities and country. And then you can see the content as well. How is it performing in terms of reach, comments, shares, and everything like that. And it shows, I think, the reels as well, or just posts. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but on the phone is actually more detailed.
Sorry, could I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you planning to ever expand beyond Portugal, or yeah?
Yeah, I answered that question. I said yeah, because right now, no, because we want to just establish ourselves in Portugal, since my audience as well is from Portugal. We want to really establish the brand, growing, and then in the future, the first one is going to be Spain, and of course the other European countries. We have that possibility of exporting and delivering in that countries. It's just we are not focusing our communication on that, but we are working on switching our website to English as well. So that would be my first step on that.
There's a question here. Is there certain content on Flair that reaches a wider audience and has more engagement?
Yeah, usually once I'm in the photo, because since usually the people that follow Flair are my followers, because it's my brand and I promote it on my page. Usually when I'm there in the picture or video, it creates more engagement as well.
And I remember you did this video with some of your friends in Barcelona. Did that get more engagement because your friends were in that video, so their friends would also see it?
That video was our launch campaign, so we created a whole marketing campaign around it, and we used paid media. So that was probably our biggest reach in terms of video, but we also we were preparing for it and talking about it for a whole month, so.
No, I loved it. It was really great.
Thank you.
Guys, any more questions?
I have a question. Yeah, it's interesting you say so. Yeah, about the market it's clear you first want to establish yourself. Do you feel like Portugal has a big enough market? Because I'm from a small country, Lithuania, and I have friends actually who are trying to do their own clothing brand as well now. They like have a shop as well and everything. But I just feel like it might be a big limitation, you know, the fact that your local smart market is limited. But since I guess, yeah, you're planning to expand to Spain, you have like a limit which you set, like, oh, I'm gonna hit this goal and then I'm gonna expand more, or are you working in both directions at the same time?
No, because we just launched our first collection in this new Flair produced clothing with our own designs in November. So we are still testing. It's still too soon to be thinking about that. In terms of the Portuguese market, there's still place for us because people are shifting to a sustainable consumption, and they are looking for Portuguese brands that actually produce in Portugal. So it's a market that is really establishing right now and growing a lot. So we want to take advantage of that and then start to expand to other countries. And I say Spain because it's easier for us, and as well I created the collection in Barcelona and I have a lot of connections in Spain, so that makes sense for us.
Do you think you would ever collaborate with a store locally in Barcelona to help spread it, or is that somewhere more in the future?
Not really. For collabing with a store, I would do in Lisbon to test. Yeah, but maybe an e-commerce in Spain would be interesting.
Megan here asks, does content creating ever get in the way enjoying life, such as your trip to Paris? Like worrying about posts to make, etc.
My trip to Paris was actually a content creation trip. So I went with other influencers just to create different content. And I went with another girl that has a brand. So we leveraged that to create photos and videos for my brand and for her own brand as well. So it was a trip for content creation. But when I'm traveling with my friends, it's totally fine because the kind of content that I create is lifestyle and it's the most realistic one that I can. So I just share photos with my friends, videos, and the vlogs as well is super reality. So I don't have to stage and to prepare for a photo.
For that Paris, for that Paris trip, did you create like a list or bullet points of like what kind of content you want to do, or like a calendar that, okay, on this day we're getting this kind of content done, on Tuesday we're doing this?
The whole trip was like that. Before going, we had the whole schedule, like this morning this, I have to do this reel, and we were 3 influencers together, so we had different kind of content to create, different kind of approaches, and we were just running from one place to another and shooting everything. So I didn't really enjoy Paris, but it's okay because this trip was just for this, you know. It's not usually like this.
Do you think you would go to Paris just to enjoy it without that?
Yes, I want to go next month.
Sorry, what would you say would be the key to a successful campaign? I know it's like different from depending on the time, but what would you main 3 things or something like that?
But what kind of campaign are you talking about?
In terms of like like for example, like recently in the past couple of years, like most people haven't been able to go out to the nature a lot. So now like a lot of influencers, in order to promote their products, they include more of nature and that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I think in terms of like promoting just stuff online, do you like what is key to making a successful campaign, no matter what you do?
I really think that depends on your goal and who, again, you are trying to target. But for me, I'm always trying to create campaigns where my audience can resonate with. So relatable content that you can identify yourself in. For example, for the Barcelona collection, besides having models shooting for the website. For the actual video campaign, I try to involve all my friends in Barcelona, so I can show how the clothes are actually wearing on the real life around my friends, around drinking on the sunset in the bunkers in Barcelona. So showing how they really are in real life and showing as much as possible the reality and not a perfect Instagram feed as we used to have before.
Awesome.
Here's another question in the chat box. Do you believe that certain influencers have too much influence?
Yes, for sure. There are a lot of people that become famous like out of nowhere. If you go to a reality TV show, and then you come back and you have millions of followers and you don't know what to do with them, and then you have a voice but you don't know how to use it, so you probably will be doing a lot of mistakes and talking about some topics in the wrong way, or at least from my perspective, and it can be dangerous.
Have you, as an influencer, ever done a mistake of saying something wrong and then having any backlash, or were you always kind of just really cautious of what you put out there in public?
I don't think so, because I try to always think as many times as possible before posting something. Of course, I regret some content that I did. For example, I did a whole video promoting a few years back when I was starting on YouTube. I did a video not promoting. I bought some swimwear from Shein, which is a brand from China, and it's super fast fashion, even worse than Inditex. And they were creating swimsuits with designs that were copied by Portuguese brands. No, the opposite. So they created swimsuits and they used designs from Portuguese brands. And I was not aware of this. I was aware that that brand was not that great in terms of manufacturing and everything like that. And I posted the video, and then I got some feedback in that sense that they are copying, and then I deleted the video because I was not aware of that. But still, like, I'm not proud of that content because I don't want to promote that, and right now I don't promote this kind of brands. So I think that's one point.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you can hear me. Oh, great. Oh dear. No, I'll type it.
Okay. Let's just wait. Have you noticed maybe like a change of your audience over COVID times? Like, were they more responsive? Like, for instance, with your YouTube channel, what did you do during COVID times when it was just isolation and all that?
For my YouTube, I focused more on, because once the pandemic started, I launched the brand, so I focused more my content on the educational one. And then once I moved to Barcelona, I switched to my regular vlogging one. So I switched a bit the content, and of course I noticed that people were more like they had more time to consume content, for sure.
Chloe asks, will you ever enter the Brazilian market?
That's not on our plans right now, especially like not before Europe, for sure. Of course, it's the same language, but it's still so far away, and it's really expensive to ship there. So at least now is not the market that we will consider.
It's also different when you're abroad because you don't really know what's actually happening there. Whereas in Portugal and Spain, you're there almost like, you know, day to day. So you know what's trendy, what's happening on everyday basis. So Chloe
yes,
says
as
here,
well, for sure.
I understand that shipping would be very expensive, but their GDP is lower. Any more questions? Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording now.